Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Hi, how are you? How is it going? Happy 2021. I know I've been gone for a minute. Your girl needed a break, okay? That's the apology I'm gonna give you. When I did that 30 days of training in December and uploaded a video every day to my YouTube channel for 30 days, whew, was I exhausted. But I'm back, I'm here, I'm ready to give you guys amazing content again. And this video, to start off with a bang, I really wanted to showcase something that I have fallen absolutely obsessed with, absolutely in love with, which is the platform Notion. Now, I have filmed some videos in the past of how I've been implementing this platform into my business, but I have gone full force with this software, okay? When I tell you, I have gotten rid of every other software in my business except for FreshBooks, which you guys know is my accounting software. I can't give them up. I love them with every fiber of my being, but Notion really has taken control of every element of my project management for my client projects, from application on my website all the way through proposals, actually in the thick of it, and building out the project scope through project launch. So I have been working on really this kind of mini series, if you will, of the ultimate Notion client portal. And this is one video of many that I will be posting here on my channel. So today we are going to dive right in how I have built my client proposals using Notion and my friends at Chilipepper. Chilipepper is this incredible plugin for Notion that these two Notioneers have built, which are forms that you can actually embed into your Notion pages. So that's what we're going to get into today. I'm going to walk you through exactly how I've built this page out, how I've implemented Chilipepper into this process, and all of the information that I give my clients in every single proposal. So this really is a template that you can create yourself in Notion and start utilizing. The idea of project management, not having 8 different softwares. We really want to just spearhead, get into one, and make it work the best that it can. And this can be a first step for you in utilizing Notion for your clients. So you already know what I'm going to say before we get into today's video. Smash that like button, smash that subscribe button, and I'll see you over there. Okay, so obviously the first thing that we want to do is create a new page in Notion. I simply have this under my workspace, but if you are, if you have a project management space for your clients, that's a great place to put this. And keeping in mind, you want this to be accessible because you are going to be duplicating it as you go for every client in the future. So what I like to do is just name it very broadly and proposal. So that way I know that this is the template that I'm going to be adding into my client portal in the future. And what we want to do is empty with an icon. I traditionally use the exact same icon across everything within Notion. It is a lightning bolt. It's one of my brand assets. Specifically, I use this in Notion, and I use the lightning bolt to symbolize anything that is outward facing in my business. So anything that has external use gets a lightning bolt. Anything that's internal has my brand logo, which is a black circle with a white ampersand. So first, what I want to do is list out our needs in our proposal. I think that it's really helpful to kind of do a lot of this work ahead of time before you start diving in. So that way, you know what you need. You don't know what you don't need, right? You want to make sure that we're keeping in mind everything that our clients need. And, as I'm kind of writing this list out for you, I want to talk a little bit about why I moved this over to Notion in particular. So when I was in my first 2 years of business, I was writing out my proposals in Canva. I wanted this overly branded, beautiful document that I thought if my clients saw this overly branded, beautiful piece, that was what was going to make them sign a project with me. And, I always used to kind of judge people who were sending very, very basic, almost Google Docs of information to me as a proposal when I was, hiring for different things for my business. And, one thing that I learned over time is if you are drowning out your information in design, it may or may not benefit you. And so I think that it's really important that before you get it pretty, before you add all kinds of different things, make sure that you are really giving your client the most information that you can. And, one of those things is being transparent. That's something that I really value in my business. And I think that my clients really value about me is that I share as much information as I can to help them make the best decision that they can in their business. And so what I learned in doing all of these, really beautiful proposals is that I really wasn't giving them the opportunity to have the most information as possible. There were so many things that I was missing, that I didn't really necessarily have room for in this beautiful proposal, right? And I think when you are kind of working through creating some kind of super in-depth PDF, you're really bogged down by the file size and things like that. And so in December, I moved my proposal over to Notion, and I really haven't looked back. It's been really great to have everything there. My proposals are really kind of separated between branding and web design. And so, I have a brand proposal that has, everything about branding. And then I have website that obviously has everything about website. And there's different FAQs that go along with different things, specifically for a website proposal. One of your FAQs may be, do you build my site to be mobile friendly? That's not necessarily something that a branding proposal needs. And so being really particular about the type of proposal that you're creating and how much work you really want to do when it comes to creating your proposals. So, one thing you could do up here at the top is name it brand proposal or website proposal. And so, the other thing about that too is creating a template like this, it takes me maybe 30 minutes tops to develop a proposal for a client, because I'm not having to, customize all of this information. I'm not having to really do anything other than pick the prices. And I do have a secondary template we're going to walk through once we start building this out. So you could kind of see how I build my proposals from every step of the way. So now we have our full kind of needs space, if you will. So we're going to go ahead and start building this. Now, one thing that I always do when I build out my Notion pages is select full width. It drives me crazy that is not a universal switch that you can turn on, but I do like full width pages just because, I hate white space. You guys know that about me. So what we want to start out with is a welcome message. Now, this is something that I provide all of my clients, just like a little, hey, so glad to talk to you. So excited to really get going and see what the potential is, right? To work together. And I have kind of this fill-in one that I'm going to do right now. And I'm going to go ahead and just kind of leave that here for a minute and, look at the copy later. You guys don't want to watch me work on the copy. But I do like to add in an image of myself because, I'm a little selfish. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And I do like to make this kind of a branded image. And, one thing that I do is because this is such a personalized message to my client, when I do proposals, I tend to rewrite this message here that's like, hey, we specifically talked about this in your discovery call. I'm so excited to have you on board and really working together. And this is why. I don't even know where my older photos are. Guys, come on. Sarah photo shoot. Here we go. Okay. So these are all my new photos from the incredible Melissa Bordeaux. She's my photographer here in Austin. So, and also if you guys didn't know, you can absolutely resize photos in Notion. You can make them bigger, smaller, whatever you need. So we're going to go ahead and add that here as just a little welcome message to the client. And obviously keeping in mind that this message changes based on what we need it. Now, I do like to include information about my business. So what I've learned in my time is not everybody reads their website, right? Not everybody's going to read my website, and that's okay. I think one thing that if I've learned anything is as you are kind of growing your business, you really want to just be patient with how much you are educating, how much you're repeating yourself, and ultimately what information is important that you are repeating as time goes on, right? So under this section in my proposal, I do like to kind of walk people through how to use different elements within Notion. So for instance, we're going to put some toggles in here in a second. And so I say click the toggle to read more because some people may not know. So the first thing that I think is really important that you add into your proposal are your company values. This can really help set a precedent for what you believe in and from the get-go be on the same page with this potential client, right? It's easy to talk about these things in your discovery calls, but it's even better to have it all written down. So as they're kind of working with their team, going through making their decision of who to work with, and they go, wow, 99 in St. Clair, we just felt like they got us, right? And they are really going to put their foot forward to work with us. So that is something that I do. I include the company values, and we want to make sure that we go ahead and add in client portfolio pieces. Now, this is one section that I will change depending on who the client is. As you're building this out, again, like I mentioned previously, think about how much time you want to be spending on these proposals and how pre-made you can make this template, right? You don't have to necessarily change this out every time. You can do, exactly whatever you want on this proposal. So I am also including, because we're working on a website proposal template, I'm going to say website or Squarespace expert perks. So I don't really mention Squarespace Circle member. That is more of an internal designer term and classification for us under the Squarespace designer. So what I do with my clients is I say, hey, I am a Squarespace expert, right? And because of that, because I specialize in Squarespace, here are all the additional benefits that Squarespace gives me to give to you because you're choosing their platform and choosing to work with me. So I'm going to go ahead and copy all of those from our old template. And if you don't know about being a Squarespace expert, or Squarespace Circle member, I definitely recommend that you check it out. Really, the only prerequisite for being a Squarespace Circle member is that you have published 3 websites under your profile. And so really anytime you're building a client site, you should always be building in your account because it helps you rank better as a Squarespace designer from Squarespace's side. And so then you get all of these cool perks like 20% off their annual year, $100 of free Google ad credit, 24/7 direct Squarespace support, et cetera, et cetera. So I do leave that in there for people to say, hey, like, whoa, like this is a great value, right? So the next section that I really want to focus on is going to be the client journey. So again, this is where transparency really comes into play with your clients. So one thing that I love sharing is the client journey and what to expect as clients are coming through my doors and deciding to work with me. So I'm going to list that there, put this under that header, and maybe we want to just underline these, make them a little stand out. Okay, so again, being super transparent about what we do. So during our time together, working with me, I make it very clear from the get-go, I only work with one large client at a time. So traditionally over a 3-week period, what that looks like for a website project, it's 3 weeks working with me. I will take on 1 to 2 day rate clients also during that time, but the overall arching big projects, I only have one major client at a time because that allows me to have uninterrupted support, full attention. And how I kind of build that out, if you guys are thinking about doing something similarly, is I will only book day rate projects on the down days. Specifically, I will book them for the period when I'm waiting for client feedback back or just kind of like down period in between the project. So as you're kind of thinking about how to balance out your proposals, that's how I do it. It really works for me. So traditionally I will take day rates on Mondays because those are the days that my clients, they have until Tuesday morning to give me feedback. So that is how I've been building out my calendar and it works really well. So again, we're going to go ahead and do a toggle, and I have a 6-step process for my clients as they go through the journey. And so they really can click through all of these. We're going to let them load, really click through all of these and see, okay, what is it like to have a discovery call? Obviously, they've already had that because they've gotten the proposal. But what does project onboarding look like? What does the kickoff strategy look like? So all of these have a pretty in-depth drop down. We've got implementation, launch week, retainer. I do offer a 2-week retainer period that's built in. So really seeing where you're at. I also build these steps into my overall project management page for my clients. So they see this regularly from the get-go. They see themselves kind of filter through this process as we go through. I'm going to go ahead and put another divider. That's usually how I section things out. All right, so your project proposal. So this is really where all of the meat, the potatoes, all the details that you want to be sharing are going to go. I usually like to highlight this, make it stand out a little bit more. And go ahead and go back. Okay, so the things that are in our project proposals. So I do like to say, every proposal is custom. And so how I kind of handle the project scope, the build out, is really having kind of a base structure. So if you guys are thinking about value-based pricing, you have a base package that you start out with. It could be, for branding, it could be 3 logos, colors, and fonts, right? That's your base, art direction, strategy. Then anything else that's additional is collateral, right? So that's really where the value comes in is, do they need a proposal packet? Do they need social media graphics? That's where those add-on fees are going to come in. So I'm actually going to show you exactly how I do this part of my proposal using a secondary template that I have here in Notion. But the first thing that we want to do is project scope. So this is where the real details are going to come into what exactly you guys talked about in your discovery call and, what you're agreeing to, because this document really is the backbone to your project. Yes, you have your contract, but that is so heavily detailed with termination and project fees and, deadlines and reinstatement fees, literally all the jargon that you could need. I usually use the project proposal as kind of the more mellow side of that. And I do make my clients sign their proposals, which we will get into how I do that here in a little bit. So first, what we want to do is build out a quick project scope. This is just a template that I've had from a previous proposal that I've done. So multi-page Squarespace website, content-driven modern design that grows with the organization. We'll make this a template and take out the client's name. And invites visitors to connect with newsletters, events, online workshops. This particular client wanted a members only, but that is an add-on. So I'm going to take that out of kind of the base scope. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and add that in because they specifically wanted a members only area. And so that is an upcharge. Absolutely. If you're not already charging more for members spaces, please do so. So I do copy development in my base package, but that is literally cleaning up and grammaticizing. I do not actually develop full copy. So what we could do is change this to copy edits for all pages. And then obviously SEO is built in. So I do SEO including, naming images, naming pages, making sure that they're indexed correctly for Google. But that's pretty much all I do. I really don't go into keywords, tagging, all of that stuff. So this client, so additional project item. So we'll just leave that there as a space within our template because I do a lot of project add-ons. Additionally, I do now charge separately for admin setup. This is for domain transfer and canceling old accounts. I weirdly have a lot of clients who will ask me, to transfer the domain out of GoDaddy and cancel their account for them. So I do charge separately for that. And so that is an additional project item. Now, if they, let's say, didn't want to pay for that setup, what I would simply do is just connect their domain within their new build, but not transfer it to Squarespace. So let's differentiate that. Okay. So next we want to do our project dates. Now, this is something that is, I think, really important for my projects is I require my clients to be available during their project dates. So we, in this project, scope, we want to list out, when our meetings are going to be, when feedback is due, when project launches, project kickoff, anything that they need, and really highlight, you need to be available during these time blocks. And so because I only work with one client at a time, it's very easy for me to kind of pre-schedule these out and direct my clients of, hey, our brand presentation meeting is at 10 a.m. on this day. Now, I did start to kind of take a step back from that. And what I do is offer 2 time blocks on that day of the meeting, but the actual day is a non-negotiable. And I've never had pushback from that. I have had a few instances where we've had to reschedule during, due to sickness or, whatever. So being mindful that may come up, but it is absolutely okay within your project proposals that you dictate when the client needs to be available, because it takes away from having to do all of that planning once the project kicks off. This is you telling them, giving them that boundary and that structure of this is what you are agreeing to. And if you can't agree to these project dates, we need to propose different ones in the future, right? So what we want to do is I'm going to actually create a table here. I think that this is going to be a really nice change from my old template proposal. Is we will have, we'll call it milestone. Okay, so we want to say project kickoff strategy call, and date time. Okay, so the next thing that we want to make sure that we do is lock this table. Now, this is a feature that I've really come to love in Notion because it allows your client to not change any of the data here, but they can still see it as long as you are sharing this page with them the appropriate way. So all you want to do is click on those 3 dots and you'll notice database lock. So all you have to do is toggle that on and you'll notice that it's locked. And so what is going to happen is when we click share, you want to toggle that on to share to the web. That's how you'll share it with your client. But under show link options, just make sure that none of these toggles are turned on, so that way no one can edit anything except for you or people you've given access to change. So if we go into an incognito window, you'll notice that on our proposal page, you'll see the page here and you can open it, see the details. There's really no need to do that. And you can click open these, but you can't. I'm hitting the backspace button now, it's not doing anything. So that will really prevent your client from changing any dates, changing any of the scope. And also even over here, you can highlight text, but you can't do anything to it. So that's a really great feature. If you didn't know, you want to make sure that you do that with every template that you give your client, just to be on the safe side. You don't want any, run-ins with, this is actually what it said. No, this is how we wrote the project, right? And now what we want to do is go ahead and get into our project investment. Now, this is an addition that I have made recently, which I am going to show you right now, but I have made a pricing list template in Notion. So I'm going to go ahead and open that up. And this is a template that I made. But what I suggest that you do is list out your services, everything you offer, whether they're one-off, base packages, if it's a software fee that your client pays separately, specifically this Squarespace annual plan, right? My clients don't pay me for that. We put their credit card into Squarespace, which is what I'm hoping that you do as well. And then, you want to put your price of your services and then the service year. So what you can do is every year you'll just go ahead and add a view. So we'll call that 2021. So now I can see everything that's labeled under 2021. So as you'll see on here, we have video production, website design per page, course or membership, copywriting, print collateral. This proposal that we're working on, it's going to be super helpful that we added those add-ons there, so you could see exactly how I add this. So now we want to pop in here and make this full. So we'll call it your project investment. And I'm going to show you exactly how to link databases here in a second. And we did heading 2. Okay, awesome. So in order to add that table that I just showed you, the pricing list, into Notion, what you're going to do is you're going to do / linked database. And then what it's going to do is it's going to pull up all of your databases within Notion. And you can simply just start typing and it will find the one that you're looking for. So we are looking for our pricing list. So we're going to go ahead and add that. And as you'll notice, it pulls up everything that we just saw over in the original table because it is linked. So anything you change here will automatically change to the original and vice versa. Okay, so in this pricing list, obviously that was a very broad table that I had built. So what we want to do is go ahead and add additional data to the table. It's totally okay. It's going to get added to the main table. But what I want to do is create a formula here because you may have a base price. My base web package is it's 6 custom pages, which I already have listed here, right? So anything over 6 is going to be an additional $6.50 per design, right? That doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to charge $6.50 every time I duplicate, but it is for custom original pieces. So we want to go ahead and make this, first of all, we want to make this a number. And then we're going to change total cost. We're going to change the property type to formula. So this is going to be price of service. And then we are going to multiply it by amount and click done. So that's automatically going to even out. So one base website package, and that is a flat $250 charge that I offer. So all right, and this client specifically needed course or membership. Now, if they didn't, what we would do is come into filter, add a filter group, and we want to add item does not contain course. We can just say course and it'll take it out. So you can definitely edit this per client, per service as much as you need to. And then under calculating, we want to sum it. So the total cost is going to be $56.50. So that's our pricing list. Remember, we want to lock that table up. So we have our total investment. And here, what we can do when we break things down, what I actually want to do is do this because sometimes we have referral discounts. We want to take off 150. Right? So that's a benefit. So total owed is, let's say, can't do math, guys, 410. So perfect. So then we have their total fees paid. Now, it is important that they understand, if they want extra fonts or things like that within a brand presentation, that they are, responsible for those fees as well. Okay, so the next part of our project proposal is going to be the payment plan options. Now, this is a change that I have made for this year, is to offer more than just a 50-50 payment plan. This is an easy decision. I guess it was for me to make this decision, but kind of walking through the payment plan option. So first is project in full. I do offer a 10% discount paid in full. Now I do always kind of pre-build in that 10% into my project costs. So I'm not necessarily losing anything, but it looks like my clients are saving money, and it's less processing fees if they do choose to pay up front. So I like to, kind of give them a little show off bonus, if you will. The next payment plan is 3 months, a 3-month payment plan. So what within these payment plan options, this and the 6-month, I do require $500 deposit at contract signing that is non-refundable. So even if the client, a day before the project launches, they will not get this back. And then the remaining cost of the project is then subtracted. That 500 is subtracted out of the total. The remaining cost is then calculated between payment plans, either the additional 3 months or the 6-month payment plan, right? So this really, from my kind of experience with my clients, has been really just more benefit than anything, right? Yeah, there are more processing fees, but that's an expense, that's a given expense in your business. And if it can help me out with my clients, you can book higher projects because they see a payment plan over time rather than, committing to 2 payments of $3,500 at one time. That's really overwhelming for a lot of clients, especially when they are hiring a designer for the first time. So I like to give these options just so they can kind of see. And I make my clients choose which payment plan they want from the get-go. So that way, when I am developing their contract and I'm sending out their invoice link, I can develop their invoice to auto charge on these days, which is usually the 3rd of the month that I do the payment plan charge. So that's something to think about as you are working through this. Now, the next steps are going to be, and actually, you know what? Let's change these to drop downs because this is just really heavy. So let's say, I'm going to go ahead and change this to a toggle. And then we will move those into there. Perfect. And we'll go ahead and just delete that and duplicate that, move that up here. Perfect. Okay. Now they're kind of even. I like symmetry. Okay, so the next thing that we need to do is next steps for working together. So this is where Chilipepper is going to come into play. So our next steps, awesome. So now what we want to do is go ahead and pop into Chilipepper. So Chilipepper is a plugin for Notion. If you don't have a account, it is free. They do have a free option, but because it is a newer startup, they still are in beta phase, there are some limits to Chilipepper and what you can do with it. The first thing is they do have a form limit. You can only have up to 6 questions. So that's something to think about as you're kind of building out your Notion client places, pages, portals, is what data you are collecting. Is it necessary data that you're collecting? And making sure you're just, being mindful of that space. But like I said, Chilipepper's free. The embed setup is so easy to do. So what we want to do before we hop into Chilipepper, so we just want to go ahead and create a blank table. Now, what Chilipepper does is it connects directly to Notion. So when someone fills out the form, you need to have a table that can collect the data. Just like in Google Forms, you know that it automatically goes to a Google Sheet. So that's what we need to create. So we are going to say our first question is going to be type your business name, because we want to make sure that we, know whose proposal acceptance we are receiving. And we're going to say, today's date, the date here. And we want to say payment plan. We're going to make this a drop down. We want to say payment in full. We're going to add 3-month payment plan or a 6-month payment plan. Awesome. Okay, so is there anything else that we need to agree to? Yes. Agreement. We're just going to say agreement, and we will add the description on Chilipepper. Okay, so now that we have our form, I just usually keep those forms in my workspace. You can create, a landing space for all of your sub pages. But what we're going to do is pop into Chilipepper. So again, create your account if you don't have one. And you'll notice that I do have forms created. So one thing about Chilipepper still being in beta, depending on when you are watching this, I know that this is a change that they're rolling out sooner rather than later, is currently you cannot name your forms. So if you are starting to use Chilipepper, what I recommend is just create a table in Notion and type, what the name of your form is and then what the name in Chilipepper is. So whether that's extra hot broiled peppers, etc., just so you don't have to click through all of these to see what your form is. But I do already have one created. So I'm going to go ahead and just pull up whichever form that is. Let's see. It is the spicy burnt orange cayenne. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and click into here. And okay, so what we're going to do, I'm going to get rid of that old proposal. Okay, so proposal agreement. So enter today's date. Then we want our payment plan. So you're going to go ahead and click new field. And we'll just title the field name payment plan. Which payment plan are you interested in? And enter, for this, we want to change the field type to select. We need to make it a requirement. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to add all the drop downs in here so you don't have to manually enter them in. It's a little secret I learned in a meetup with Chilipepper recently. So just go ahead and leave those options blank for now. And then lastly, we need to add today's date. Do you agree? Okay, so proposal agreement and we'll call it accept agreement. So what you can do now is change the submit color button. So if you want it to be on brand, you can totally select that. I tend to just kind of pick a random color based on my forms, but I think today we're going to go with orange. Then you're going to click save. So now at the bottom, you're going to see connections. So we have our Notion table. This was obviously pre-added. So what you want to do, it's going to first prompt you to add your Notion account. So if you don't know how to do that, it will walk you through. It'll have a little help button. So go ahead and click that. And then your Notion table. So we want to override the one that it was before because I used to have them connected to my overall CRM, but that's not what we're doing today. So you're going to go ahead and either click the URL up at the top, or you can click share. Make sure that it's turned on to the web or else this sharing will not work. Click the link, paste it in, click save, and then it's going to map your fields for you. So payment plan, we're going to connect it to payment plan. So you do have to make sure that your forms are exactly what it is in the Notion table. Okay, so then you're going to connect all of the dates, click save. Okay, so now you'll notice that all of the payment plan options that we previously typed over in Notion have now shown up in our Chilipepper form. So that is done. We are good to go. And now we want to go to options and copy install code. Now, if you are new to creating this form, it will just have a pop-up that copies that code. But because I already had it, we need to go to options. So we're going to click install code. And now we are going to go back to our proposal page. And what you're going to do is /embed and then paste the embed link. And that's it. And now you have your proposal form set up, your acceptance form. And so we'll just go ahead and do that. And then lastly, underneath, I'm just going to put a divider and add in our FAQs. Okay, so what we're just going to do last is add in the frequently asked questions. So go ahead and just create these like that. And this is your client proposal template. You can use this as much as you want, as little as you want. I definitely recommend taking the time, like I've said throughout this whole video, to really decide exactly what you need within your proposal and how to present that to your client in the best way that you can. And so with that, I definitely recommend staying tuned to my channel. I am in the process of recording a full blowout of my ultimate client portal that I've been building for weeks and weeks and weeks. And so I'll kind of show you how I utilize this inside my client portal when that video launches here in the next coming weeks. So stay tuned. If you haven't hit subscribe, make sure to do that. And I will see you guys in the next video.